What's poppin' toppings, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome if you are new. Today I'm going to be talking about Paralives. So like I said in a previous video, my mic and my OBS have been a little bit out of order recently, so I want to apologize in advance if you hear any beeping or buzzing noise. So I'm sure most of you guys have seen the brand new Paralives release date trailer, which was absolutely amazing. Now I'm kind of talking from memory right now because I am filming this in very late September, and the trailer came out on June 8th, I believe, so it's been, it's been a couple months. In one of their posts, they talked about how they're implementing a museum, and that part particularly interested me because I'm thinking, what is the collecting scale? Like, in what aspect is it? So I used to play a game called Virtual Town where you were a mayor, and collecting was like a very big part of the game, and you would collect, crystals like opal and tanzanite and topaz and all of that, and that would go directly to the museum. And I'm wondering if when you collect things, will they be able to be put into the museum, and how is the museum going to function? What are the collection items? Like, what are those? Are they, vegetables and something similar to the previous Sims games, or is it something completely new, which would be very interesting? Like, are we going to be able to collect cards? Are we going to be able to collect, I don't know, how people collect things for fun? There's also like a collecting system for my time at Sandrock, which I have played the demo only, and I'm pretty sure that the average player spends 8 hours in the demo, but I think I have like 24 hours in the demo and I'm not yet finished, so I think that says a lot about me. But in my time at Sandrock, you're also able to collect timepieces, and you put these pieces together in the museum after you've collected all the parts needed for it, and it's kind of cool. So I wonder how they're gonna do that part of the video or the game. Emotions have been something that the Paralives team have been able to nail incredibly well, as we've seen from literally the previous video that I did where I watched Maggie go through complete turmoil from point A to point B, and it's so cool to see how the emotions work in actual game. Like, we have, the rip-off Bob Pancakes and Eliza Pancakes fighting, arguing. Guys, Eliza, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of that para, but we're gonna go with Eliza for now. Eliza, girl, she looked like, you do not want to get into a fight with Eliza. Her face was going red, and it was very cool to see that. And of course we have our paras who are in love, very cute to see. And I'm trying to think, what else did we see? We saw a lot of things. Of course, the iconic one where we had the para who was crying on the floor. Now guys, what I noticed personally was that para had on a wedding ring, so I'm thinking maybe it was a stressful day at work for them or something like that. I don't know. The fact that I was able to feel the emotions from the paras with no captions, just straight visuals, I think is telling in itself at how strong they are in the psychology of the paras, and how they can evoke such strong feelings from not even talking and not even being aware of their genuine scenarios. I think that's very cool that I was able to pick up on the emotions like that. Eyelashes, guys, I love the eyelashes in Paralives. There are so many, and yes, we saw the Paramaker where we saw Maggie and Marvin and Sebastian, and that one unknown para who each had different sets of eyelashes, but I think being able to see it on a variety of different paras, it really puts it into perspective at how beautiful and how diverse they have made the para from what I see, the Paramaker from what I see. I also am a very big fan of their like navy UI. I wasn't necessarily a fan of the white one in the beginning, but I think it's grown on me. And also there is a paintbrush, so I don't know if they're able to customize the UI or if we're able to have the tools to do so, but I don't know. That is something I noticed. I love the dark icons, the dark navy. Maybe it's because I played The Sims 3 and it's like blue, but I don't know. I just think blue is blue and like that like clear navy-ish color are just really great UI colors without it being incredibly modern, because I'm not a big fan of those like very white modern UIs. I've seen a few comments on how big the child's para's hands are, and I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I busted out laughing. Yeah, I do agree to a certain extent. Maybe it was just this specific child para who has pretty big hands. Maybe it's the genetics, I don't know, but I won't lie. This one particular scene, I would have to agree. Seeing how beautiful the trailer has, we obviously have to question whether these are things that can be done in game, but they didn't put in those little disclaimers that you usually get in gameplay trailers where they're like, oh, this isn't from the game, you know, those little like disclaimer trailers. That wasn't put in the Paralives video, so I'm thinking we're able to do that. It's also really cool because the new GTA 6 trailer that came out is also all caught from the game, so they're not new videos that they took specifically for the gameplay. They're actually, I mean, for the trailer, they're actually from the game, so I think it would be really cool if that's what it was. Is that a hike trail? Are paras able to hike, or am I losing my mind here? That is so cool. I think that the world, from what we see of it, is there's like a lot of different areas to it. There is the beach, obviously, then the main town. You have a lot of greenery with that little hike trail that I was talking about. You have mountains, a little abandoned, what it looks like a train station. We obviously have that center in the middle with like the town buildings and the antique shop. I love the idea of an antique shop. I wonder if you're able to kind of use it, if it's functional. Like, how is that gonna work, y'all? I'm really interested in seeing how that is gonna take course. To me, it's giving very much like a trade-in thing where your para can go in and buy or sell pieces, specifically furniture pieces. That's what I'm thinking right now. For the game not having seasons coming out in early access at the beginning, I think that they have done such a great job at showcasing the different costumes, the different furniture pieces and decorations that can be used for each season, even if it's not necessarily snowing or raining or it's really hot, I think, or leaves, you know. I think they've done a really good job at giving us the range that would be able to imitate those seasons that we don't have. I'm also really interested as to how the interactions will take place. Like, of course, the biggest one to me is the para who was crying on the floor. I wonder if that was like an autonomous thing, or do you physically have to click on the floor when a para is sad and maybe have them cry it out? I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to go down. You know, she could be crying due to stress, due to love, or loss of love, you know what I mean? There's a lot of different ways that the narrative can be spun, and I like that we don't know. That's another really big thing for me is lore. Y'all know I love Sims 3 lore. I talk about it almost any chance that I get to, on any time that I remember, and I'm really interested in how the Paralives team is gonna implement lore. We do know that Sebastian has lore, you know, his grandma, I think, is a chef, and I don't remember like necessarily all the details, but he unfortunately lost his husband and they both adopted Eli, and Sebastian loves to cook. I love Sebastian's lore. Don't know too much about Maggie. I'm getting the hint that she's a gardener because she seems to be around plants a lot. It makes a lot of sense to me that she's like someone who is like maybe a florist or something like that. So yeah, maybe possibly has a cat, because in the very, very older Paralives videos we see, you know, the cat furniture and cat items. So yeah, I really hope that they continue with how they chose to do Sebastian's lore, because that is exactly what I'm looking for with the pre-made paras, that they come with lore. Otherwise, we are gonna be, I don't know, it's gonna be a little dry not having lore. I like jumping into the game and being able to already have a para to pick from, because I like their stories, you know. That's how you really get to love or know or play characters. So I've definitely seen the together cards a lot, but I cannot lie, I'm still a little confused with how they work. I wonder if you only have that specific range of cards to choose from, and I like that they've chosen to go down this route. I think it's just gonna be a little difficult for me personally to understand it. And also the one with Anissa and being able to be like the music teacher for the school, which I think is amazing. I wonder if they're gonna have more of those types of opportunities around the town, which I think would be great, but I don't know how hard or how easy it is to implement things like that. And how do they get the content to be able to do that? Like, how do they figure out that a para is, you know, jobless, for lack of a better word? How do they figure out if a para is, you know what I mean? Like, do they have to build a relationship? And like, how would that work with a para who's maybe, I don't know, like owns a guitar shop and sees a para like Anissa? How is the dynamic? I think the reactions from the paras is such a great way to ensure that the paras feel lively, you know what I mean? Like, they have lives, like they're actually interested in stuff, they have personalities. Like, you have paras excited at smelling the flowers around them, you have paras looking at clothes, looking at nature, paras working in the coffee shop, dancing at the party, like, you know what I mean? Watching other paras play the piano. We have a kid running up to its mother. Like, they all have reaction times, and I think that that's very cool that they've added those things in there autonomously, that they can autonomously like react to things like that, to those objects. That really does give them, in my personal opinion, the additional personality that makes any character seem real or a little bit more personable. And also, with the child seeing its mother cry, will that affect their mood, their emotion, their future? Like how will that affect them growing up, seeing that? If that happens every so often, or maybe it happens only that one time, how is that gonna affect them and their personality growing up? I think that would be a cool aspect to see as well. The music, of course, again, the music is sensational. My favorite song from the Paralives team is the song that plays in the gameplay trailer at the very end, like the piano slowed down version. I'll play it here a little bit for you guys.
Lomitoki? Piki no Timitipu Kiki Chumiti
Chigamapaki
Tikimi
Speaker
Nuni Sapataki Petepi
Kinomoto
I love that it has like a fast version and a slow version. I think they call it night and day. It puts me in a very good mood that makes me want to relax, chill, and play the game. And I think that the art style, the animations, the color scheme, that all adds to the coziness and the vibe of what I believe Paralives to be. Every single para looks different, whether that be their eyes, their body shape, their skin tone, their hair, their clothing style. Every para looks different to the next. Seeing that little clip of Sebastian and Maggie laughing together makes me so happy, because they were our base paras, guys, and we got to see them interact for like the first time in video form. Like, I am shocked. One without bugs, y'all, because I'm still scarred from that bug video where they really showed me what I didn't need to see. But I was so happy to see them laugh together at, I believe that was the showcase of the wedding, but it was really, really beautiful to see. There are so many features to run through when it comes to the buildings. Like, we can talk about the abandoned shoe building, I think is what it was, with the rundown brick and the moss. The restaurant, which is patchy. The shipping containers, the telephone box, which is dysfunctional, by the way, because if it is, oh my goodness, there is so much to do with the buildings and the environment, because that itself feels like it has its own story to tell, and that adds to who you might be able to visualize being in these positions. I think it's so cool and so fun to see that it's not all perfect. It is lived in. It's a town that has many different features to it and encompasses many different types of paras. And I love that. They absolutely nailed this trailer, and if this is what we will see going forward with the other features that they're planning to implement during the game's, run to full release, I think we have a lot to be excited about. I think having a little storyline that we're introduced to will help us slowly but surely ease us into the game and give us something to work with to figure out the mechanics without it being kind of new to us. I liked how The Sims 2 had that way to kind of gently push you in the direction to play the game and think maybe outside the box a little bit with the storylines. I think it's a great way to introduce us to new paras as well. So I believe the early access release cost $39.99 US and 35 euros roughly. I personally don't think that that's bad at all, especially if you get the game forever basically now. Although I don't blame anybody for not wanting to, throw your money in at something that you're personally not entirely sure is worth the investment. I think do what you want to do with your money, you know what I mean? I am pretty disappointed with the fact that parties and event plannings won't be at launch. I feel like they have ways to make this possible, like obviously hanging out with paras and inviting them out and stuff, but having the official wedding and the official birthday party and the official moving in, all those really cool social events, I think is a very big staple to a game that's supposed to simulate life, and not having that in the initial early access release is a bummer to me personally. But hopefully they have done ways to turn up. It won't be a thing in the initial early access release, but will come sometime down the line in early access. I'm not a modder, so I don't know how easy or how hard it is to, mod things like that. I feel like it doesn't have to be entirely in depth, like a feature implemented, but it doesn't need to have specific goals or have, a specific event in place. It could literally just be plan an event, and you as a player can choose to design and give the event or the location of the event, the look that you're going for, whether that be the wedding or the Halloween party or Christmas or whatever. I feel like they've given us, like I said before, so many furniture decorations and things like that to be able to make those in the game without actually having seasons or holidays or anything like that. Them labeling the video as a release date trailer is very, very on brand for them. I think that they've been incredibly intentional with how they label things and how they present things to us. So them saying release date trailer, to me, gives off this isn't anything, like this isn't what we're gonna see with gameplay. Like gameplay is gonna be a different trailer, it's gonna showcase more things. I think it's just a release date trailer, but I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I feel like them saying release date trailer means this is just to announce the release date, you know, and then when early access comes out, they will have a trailer for that too. But you know what, I could be wrong again. In the early access release trailer, they would definitely show a lot more to do with relationships and genuine gameplay. We would see a lot more UI, we would see a lot more of, you know, positive and negative scenarios, a lot more notifications, you know, things to do with the paras actually living their lives instead of it being kind of like a video-esque kind of thing, which I loved. But for, you know, releasing a game, we definitely need to see what the game has in store for us as a player, not so much from a visual standpoint. Like I said before, certain games sometimes have those clips where they've been made specifically for the trailer and they're not actually from the game. So I would hope that Paralives, for the early access release trailer, if there is one, would do something to show the actual game. Disney Dreamlight Valley as well as The Sims 4 are great examples as to why I would understand why people wouldn't want to buy early access or anything like that, because guys, for those of us who bought The Sims 4 for the full 40 shabucks that it was, then to see it become free after a few years was honestly shocking. Like, run me back my money, to be honest. I'm happy that those who, you know, didn't pay for the game before have access to the game for free, but what about those of us who have paid for the game? I think that's so crazy, and it really shows into them reusing and not really caring about the consumers. On that note, I would definitely understand why someone would be cautious to invest in an early access title like Paralives. My only really big thing I would say is that those early access titles come from AAA studios, you know what I mean? And Paralives is not a AAA studio, and as they've mentioned, they don't have anyone that they have to pay back for the creation of this game. So it's giving to me like a passion project, which is exactly what it started off as, and it's enough for me to want to trust the game, especially seeing what I've seen and how they've been with the game compared to the other titles that I've mentioned, in specific The Sims 4. Don't get me wrong, guys, I think watching The Sims 4 can be great. You know, I watch a few great Sims 4 players, but I will probably never touch that game again. The amount of updates that y'all have to go through makes me want to bang my head across the wall, and I'm not even someone who plays that game anymore. So yes, guys, the teeth. The para that got married has gap teeth. I think that's so cute. Oh my gosh, would braces be a thing that they implement in the game? Like, go in and physically get braces? I think that would be really cool. And then they showed the para who we got to see. I think her name was Rosie. We got to see her change outfits multiple times, and in a bunch of her outfits you can physically see that she doesn't have on any makeup, and she doesn't have on any eyelashes either, or the eyelashes that she had prior, which I think is very cool. This para right here, I'm not sure entirely if that is the design of the bottoms that they're wearing or if that is like their stomach area, but if it is their stomach area, I freaking love that you have the option to, you know, edit the para to have different types of body types. Of course we've seen that before, but I don't think I've ever seen stomach customization things to have, you know, a little bit of a bigger belly, you know. Oh my gosh, the food looks incredible. It looks jaw-droppingly insane. I want to eat the food that they've made for this game. I really do. I also love that Maggie and whoever that para is beside her are like bird watching or whatever that is. Are we able to do picnics in the game? Because that is so cute. I loved it so much. I really did. I do think that them adding in stories for each para, I know this would take a really long time to do, but I think having lore for each para that's in the town, whether that be them generated with random lore or whatever, I think that them having lore is like such a needed thing. I think it's essential at this point. I would love if paras had lore, honestly. Like Sebastian, they did great with Sebastian's lore. I love it so much, and I cannot wait to play him out to have that storyline, you know what I mean? But I would really hope that they do the same for each para that's in the town. I genuinely feel like that would be great. Yeah, I think that's everything that I wanted to say. This was kind of stuff that I jotted down after as my initial thoughts from watching the video, but I haven't, you know, gone back to the video ever since I watched it. It's great. But that is it for this video, guys. I've been talking a very long time, but listen, if this video is a little bit longer than my usual Paralives videos, then you got it, y'all, because this is probably the last Paralives video that you'll get from me until early access. So yeah. If I have anything else that I want to say about Paralives, you know, I'll probably put it in a community post. But yeah, that is it for this video, guys. If you liked it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye. Thank you.